In video 1, we built the data flow product with complex tiered pricing. But if we just use HubSpot standard quotes, it's not going to look great. It's going to look like an e-commerce receipt almost. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create quote templates that look like a professional SaaS contract. We are going to strip out the fluff and focus on the data. If you like the series so far, make sure to give this video a like because it will show YouTube that this is valuable B2B content. My name is Jasper. I'm a certified HubSpot consultant, and let me share my screen and show you exactly how to do this. So this is where we left off last time, and now we want to go to commerce on the left hand side, and then we'll go to quotes. Here you can see there's a bunch of quotes here. We're going to ignore that, and we're just going to go to these 3 dots in the top right corner, and we're going to select customize quote style. This is the first part what we're going to do, and this will allow us to customize what our quotes, font style and colors in general look like. So here you can see we can change the background color for the window, so that's that bluish color right here. Then we can also update the color for the document itself and as well as the outline border for it. And then we also have the option to update our fonts, update the branding, update any buttons and links. And that's where we're going to focus right now. So when I go to fonts, we do have the option to select the default brand kit font. So if you have a brand kit within HubSpot, that will already set it up for you in an easy way. You still might want to customize some things, but it will already be helpful. And here we're going to select the base font. So I'm using 2 different fonts in my brand kit. So Bellezza is the one that I use for the headers. As we know, there's like an H1, an H2, and H3. So this one is used the most, and an intertide is used for the body text. So we'll select Bellezza as the base font, which allows us to have it for all the headers right here. So we don't need to manually change that. We do need to put this on regular, since that 600 font weight does not exist in that font. But now we're basically set for our headings. The next part that we want to look at is the font for the paragraphs. And this is where we want to use that intertide, and this is going to be regular. So that's looking pretty good. Then for the other elements, for block quotes, we also want intertide. And then for captions, we also want to use intertide. And that's basically it. That's all we need as far as the fonts go. Then for the branding, we have the logo right here. I think that looks perfectly fine. The buttons, if we want, we can update those as well. So let's say the default state, the fill color, we want to make sure that that adheres to our brand colors here as well. And then for the hover state, we're going to do the same thing. Well, for the hover state, we want it to be like slightly different, right? So we'll give it a little different tint. For the text, we'll also use Bellezza regular. And if you want to see those buttons, you can scroll down here and you can see the button right here. Then for the secondary, let's see, I think this looks good. Just want to make sure that this is also regular. I think all of this looks pretty decent already. As you can see, we already get like kind of a preview of what our quote will look like. So everything looks pretty good here. I feel confident with what we have. So now we'll go to publish theme and we'll publish this as our quote theme. So that's for the first part. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to create quote templates. And maybe for your business, you just need one quote template, or if there's like some distinct differences between the services or products that you're selling, you might want a couple of different templates so that sales can get going really fast with these quotes. So we'll click on create quote template. So we'll start from scratch. And this is where we can set up our quote template. So in this case, we'll just call this our like master SaaS quote. And the first part that we want to work on, we have our cover letter right here. So I did work with my friend Gemini to work on this cover letter. There we go. As you can see here, we have this information, we have some placeholders in here. So this placeholder, we do want to swap that out for a personalization token in our quote. And we're going to use the company name for this one specifically. You don't really need a fallback since you really should have the company name by the time you're sending out a quote, of course. And then this part, I'm just going to remove for now, or you can just like put in your name if you only have like one sales rep, for example. So we'll have that part there. The next part is the executive summary. What we're going to fill out here is more going to be like a template. So I do expect sales reps to actually change the information in here, but just to have a placeholder and give sales an idea of like what we're working with, we're going to add that in here. Here we see we also have a couple of placeholders. So Let's make sure we have those. All right, so we have all of that in place. And also notice how I specifically stated here under the investment structure, I added a line about the graduated tiered model. I always recommend adding something like this to the executive summary because it proactively already answers the CFO's questions. Why does the unit price look different from what we discussed? And this way it reminds them that the price gets cheaper the more they use your tool, and this actually turns your cost into a value proposition. So it's nice to have there. Then the next section we're looking at is the header, where we have our logo. We can always update our logo for these templates as well if we want. And we can change labels for example, our quote reference, the issue date, when it expires, and the currency. And we also have the ability to turn these off. So for example, if currency is not relevant for you, you can just turn that off and the currency will disappear. Next, we have the parties for this quote. I usually like to use client and then where it says, let me see here. So that's for the client party. And then where it says seller, I like to use the company name instead. So let's just make this like HubSpot Excellence. And then it will add the legal company details underneath here as well. So this would be HubSpot Excellence LLC, for example. But that is the part for the parties. Then the next section here is with a summary. We have the effective date here. So for example, on agreement, this can always be changed when you create a quote. So we can have a delayed start, for example, where we say it's 10 days after the agreement. We also have a term length, and this is determined by the line items that we have. So right now it states here that it will be hidden if there are only one-time purchases, basically. And as soon as we add subscriptions to that, it will add the term length here as well. Then we have the total discount, where we have the option to choose whether we want to show that as the amount, the percentage, or the percentage and the amount. In this case, we're going to go with the amount. And again, we can change the labels for all of these as well. For example, like here, you can say something like you're saving, not daving, saving. And then we have the total contract value here. Again, we can hide any of these if we do not need them. The next section, and for this one I have to mention, I do have a beta active on this account that allows me to change the columns here. So for example, let's say you do not want to show the tax rate on these line items. We can just remove that, and that gets removed right here. Then we also have item rows, and these will automatically be hidden if they do not have assigned values. So for example, if you do not have an image for your product, that will be hidden here. Same for the description and the billing summary. I'm gonna leave these as they are. Then we get to our terms. So I asked my friend Gemini to generate some terms for me. This is not legal advice. I would always recommend talking to a legal team to get these drafted for you. And this video, of course, is for information purposes only. With that said, let's put these terms in here that Gemini drafted for me. So we have a usage reset, overage policy, service level agreement, and payment terms. So this is the part where we write out the terms, basically. We also have the option to add some attachments here. So if I want to add, for example, a master services agreement to this, I'll click on open, we'll add that master services agreement. Let's say I also want to add a statement of work to this as well. I know statement of work is like less relevant in a SaaS case, but let's just upload that here. So now we have our master services agreement and a statement of work. And a cool feature here as well is that we can include these things in the signing. So instead of having somebody accepting your quote, then having to send over a separate link for like a DocuSign to sign your contracts, and then sending over a separate link to finalize the payment, we're going to put this all together in one unified flow. And this is really strong to really decrease the friction between the moment your client decides that they want to work with you and the moment that they're actually paying you so you can get started with that work. So for these, we're going to say these both need to be included in the signing, which will show up right here. And that's that part for this section. Then for the payments, this is something where you can use HubSpot payments to process your payments. I would highly recommend it since it really removes all of that friction. We're going to do automatic payments. As it says here, manual payments are coming soon, so that will be available soon as well. We can add our default payment terms right here, as well as add our different payment options. So for example, credit card, debit cards, and ACH. We can also choose to collect the billing address and store the customer's payment information for future charges. especially useful in case of a subscription. That's the payment section. And then the last part is the acceptance section, where we can choose whether we want to use print and sign. No, I wouldn't really go for print and sign these days. I think everything is digital, so let's just keep things simple and go for e-signature. Then we can also add the countersigner. So if anyone on your team needs to sign off on this as well after the client signed, we'll check that off as well. And then we have everything here. So once all of this looks good, and let me just update one thing here, because I know the image will not show up if we don't have one anyway, but I'm just going to remove that since our SaaS products will not have any images anyway. Then we just click publish, and that's it. Now you have a clean, professional template for your proposals, no clutter, with exactly the language that you need to get deals closed. But a template is useless if your sales team needs 30 minutes to fill out these quotes. We want them to do this in 30 seconds. In video 3, we're going to act as the sales rep. I'll show you the exact workflow to generate this quote from a deal using the data flow product that we created. Click here to watch that video right now. And don't forget the link in the description down below for the HubSpot Excellence newsletter, which will deliver HubSpot Excellence in your mailbox every single week without any fluff. My name is Jasper. I'm a certified HubSpot consultant. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.